Hi everyone,
everybody.
welcome. We are so glad you're here. We're glad we're here. This is like a sort of a pop-up extra show.
Yeah.
We hadn't scheduled this, but last Sunday we were in Miami at WLRN Studios with our friend Michael Stock. He's a long-term, a veteran DJ on WLRN. He's got a show called Folk and Acoustic Music. We've visited with him many times in the past. And while we were there, our friend Keith Rouse from the Luna Star Cafe showed up with his video camera to stream, and they both graciously allowed us to stream the show for this week's program. But it's not a full hour, and so we decided to bring you some very special footage in advance.
Yes. We've been down here surrounded by nature, and we thought it would be great, like we did last year, to share some of that experience with you. So before we get into the interview, we're going to take a little nature hike through the flora and fauna of Florida.
Ooh, nice.
I got that up.
Nice
That's a good tongue
alliteration.
twister for him.
Well, we're going to start at the southernmost point in Florida. We've done a dozen shows in the state in the past 7 weeks or so. So we're going to start at the very southernmost point and work our way up. And so the southernmost point in the United States is, of course, in Key West. And there we got to ask an age-old question. But why? 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 I still don't know why.
No, they never answer.
It's probably a good thing.
I've asked many a chicken. Why?
Why?
They've got no time for us.
No.
They're
They don't
going
care.
somewhere. They're busy.
Yes.
I'm late for a very
Well,
important date.
that's just the first of many nature clips we have. So that's fauna, not flora.
That was fauna. Yeah.
We got more fauna coming up.
It's mostly fauna
Yeah.
today. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's flora amid the fauna.
Right. And the fauna is amid the flora too.
It's true.
Well, we actually played an outdoor concert in the Key Deer Refuge, which is on Big Pine Key, which is a forested key. And these little diminutive deer have been there for nobody knows how long, but long enough that they adapted to island living, a very small island living with very limited water, very limited food. And what they did was they evolved smaller and smaller in size, but they're proportioned just like white-tailed deer, except they're only half as big. Also, because they've never ever been hunted, they're completely tame. In fact, you have to
control yourself. You're not allowed to feed them.
yeah.
It's kind of hard to control yourself because they're so darn cute.
Yeah, you're supposed to resist the temptation to
Interact.
To pat them on the head and stuff like that. Although, as I think you will see, you're not always successful.
Well,
in that.
watch closely because my hand gets close. I don't know if I ever touched the.
No, I don't think you ever touched it.
Here's
Let's see.
a classic key deer.
Hello. It's my little buck friend.
I think he was checking your hand to see if you had any
And he was
food.
looking for food because I think a lot of people feed him.
As soon as
down
he
there.
saw there wasn't any food, he was at it.
But what a
Yeah.
classic, like the rack, the antlers. But he's like as big as a Labrador.
Well, speaking of food, I had a rare opportunity to meet up with a very small friend of ours
Very
in Long Key, in the Keys. He comes out of his, it's a hole in the sand at breakfast time. And so I would bring my breakfast down and then we would kind of converse a little bit. And when you look at this fellow, you'll think you have seen similar ones, but I just want you to keep in mind that if he were to be standing on a quarter, no part of him would touch the edge of the quarter.
And
That's how big he is.
and the little morsels that you see him put in his mouth, they're grains of sand. This is a very close-up shot. Here we
I
go.
was eating sand too. So long. I liked it when he was about to go back into his hole.
Like, wait, there's
It's
more
like,
sand.
I'm still a little bit peckish.
Well, the other
Grab
thing
another-
that's another morsel.
Another morsel, yeah.
The thing that's so cool about those crabs, like you think about pretty much any animal. Think of any animal.
Okay.
We're all sort of symmetrical on the outside. On the inside, we're different because you got like a kidney over here, a heart over here.
Oh, yeah.
But on the outside, we're two eyes, hands, leg. We're symmetrical. They're not at all.
They got the
They got
one
the big guy
huge
here.
claw. Yeah, and then the other one is what they
Like,
shovel
ding,
the
ding,
little. Yeah.
It's like the sword and shield kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, you can't go to Florida without seeing a gator. If you just stick to the malls, you probably could. But it's very common to see
When you get out in nature.
to see
there.
gators. You can drive along. There's a road called Alligator Alley, and you don't usually see them there, oddly. But if you go on the Tamiami Trail, you'll see them. You'll also see them in the wetlands. And I just want to remind you, if you ever get near an alligator,
Don't.
they can go from 0 to 80 in seconds. And they can cover, like, never get closer than 20 feet because they can get to you like that. And as you'll see in this clip, we put a large body of water between us and this gaping gator.
That looks like a still photo, but that's what they do. They're
hang
so
it.
still. You could see the weeds moving around a little bit, but the gator doesn't move at all. He's just waiting for something to come within 20 feet of him.
And he sort of plays like he's chill, and then boom.
He's like, I'm a log. Don't worry, I'm just a log.
Well, those are some short little clips. We've got a longer clip for you. We have been staying for much of our time in Florida at Delray Beach, and we really like it because we're 5 minutes from the beach, but we're also 5 minutes from the wetlands. And we've been spending so much time out in nature because, unlike our usual home, it's in the 70s and 80s, and we can be outdoors comfortably for long spells. And so we did that. We were outside quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And lucky for us, it is nesting season at the wetlands, and there are all kinds of beautiful birds nesting. But particularly interesting to us, there's two wetlands. There's Green Cay Nature Center and Wetlands, and there's Wakota-Hatchie Wetlands. I'm finally being able to pronounce it correctly. The Wakota-Hatchie Wetlands are the place to go if you want to see some endangered wood storks. And I will tell you, they are not endangered here.
That is Stork City.
It's
Stork City, here we come.
Stork City, yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, what a panorama.
Safety in numbers, I guess.
Oh, look at that.
That's a big one. No,
You got it?
he's got it. Look what I found.
Oh, there is an egg in this one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So they're all mixed up now. Nice work out there. Yeah, I guess.
He's going to fly to a nest now. Watch him.
Yeah, let's watch and see if he does that.
Here we go.
It's yours. Right there. And his wife is staying.
Oh, look at that.
You handed it to him.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
They're building the nest together. Oh, they just kissed. Oh, didn't like that bit.
Oh, look how they greet each other.
Aw.
Oh, look at that.
Aren't those amazing?
So they're building the nests.
In pairs, like in cooperation.
teamwork.
Yeah.
So I think the female stays up at the nest, and the male goes around and gets a stick, brings it up, but then he hands it or
He
beaks
beaks it off.
He beaks it off to the female. And then she knows exactly where
She
she wants it.
Yeah.
And you see that over and over.
And I love that shot where there's one big stork and he's picking up the stick and moving it and dropping it and picking it up and moving it. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Little construction workers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're it's like building, fixing up the room for the baby.
And you know,
that's coming.
and you see them like grabbing the stick and kind of shaking it to make sure that it's in place. It's not going to blow away. Those are
Yeah.
sturdy nests.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Fascinating to watch. Well, we want to take a minute to remind you that, as always, this show is free to watch. All of our live streams for the last 3 years now have been free. It's 3 years. It's our third anniversary.
It is, yeah.
Wow.
March. Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Beginning of March 2020.
Anyway, these shows have always been free to watch, and they're all archived. This is the 133rd show. It's in the archive. You can watch them free at any time. But if you're enjoying these nature shots, these travel clips that we've been presenting here and there, and you'd like to support us, we're happy to accept your tips and very grateful for them. And you can send them to us a couple different ways. You can use paypal.me/thekennedysmusic or venmo.com/the_Kennedys. There's other ways you can help us out if you'd like, but you could also go to our website to check out tour dates because they keep coming in.
Yeah.
We're very happy to say. And we've got big news. Our next record is coming out end of August. It is now. It's going to be end of August because we're putting together a big record release tour for the late summer and early fall. So all that stuff is available on our website, kennedysmusic.com. Back to the nature stuff. You know my favorite Florida bird is?
What?
The roseate spoonbill. It's as pink as a flamingo, and they're very rare. And as the name suggests, they have a spoon at the end of their bill. It's crazy looking.
There's the even rarer variation.
Yeah.
The roseate sporkbill.
Oh,
It's
and
got tines on it.
we've looked for that for years.
Yeah. Yeah,
The elusive,
Yeah, it might just be, but it's a mythical creature,
the mythical sporkbill.
like the phoenix.
Well, I got some really good footage of the spoonbills though. At this was at Green Cay
Yeah.
in Delray Beach, and I'm going to share them with you now. Here you go.
Come on, let's see your spoonbill. Oh, come on. Let's see it. Oh, there it is.
That looks like it would be one of Big Bird's
I was going to
cousins.
say Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
It's like a Dr. Seuss character.
Yeah.
All I know is I want one
Yeah.
for my very own.
They kind of keep the spoon where you can't see it, and then they're like,
You stir your
"Ta-da!" They let the suspense build.
I love those. Well, you know what else? We both love herons.
Oh yeah.
And we see a lot of great blue herons,
The big,
you know?
the big ones.
But we put a little montage together of herons, and in this clip, you'll see a mix of You'll see some great blue herons. You'll see some tricolored herons. They're smaller and gray, and you know them because they have white bellies and a stripe, like a white stripe that goes down.
And they've got a
the
cool
throat.
like hair
They have
style.
Yeah, they got
going
it.
on. Dr. Seuss looking.
So you'll see these tricolored herons building their nest, and you'll see their eggs, their little blue eggs. And then we'll also see some clips of a great blue heron grooming itself. And the last set of clips is a great blue heron feeding her young. And the young herons are so cute. Look for them. They have these cute little mohawks. So here you go. Herons, everyone.
Oh, he's bringing a stick. Oh my God.
They're like, we're busy. Anyone would like to help. That's not a problem.
Take it. Take it.
What do you see there? This one's got to go. It's going to go over here.
Look at the eggs, you guys. Oh, and down she goes.
You can see the blue egg on that nest there.
Pretty amazing.
I can't believe we actually got that footage.
It's not all zoom lens either.
Well, the herons were, because I was filming this island that was chock full. The trees were chock full of big wood storks, and then you said, "Oh, look over here! There's a heron feeding her young," and I did zoom in for that. But the fact that you could spot it,
And those nest builders were right down below the boardwalk where we were
Right.
walking, because
And
the birds are not afraid of people.
and
there.
some of the storks, they're literally at eye level, literally a foot and a half away from your face.
You can reach out and touch them, but I really wouldn't recommend it. You won't have the same number of figures afterwards.
Well, you know, there are more wetland birds than just the storks and the spoonbills and the herons. There are a lot of different birds. We didn't get them all. There's literally thousands of birds in Florida, of kinds of birds. But I put a little montage together of some kind of random bird. We're going to start, though, with the very first bird I want to point out is a bird that we saw. We were staying in Marathon Key, and we were looking out at the ocean, and there's an island right off the coast, and it's an osprey nesting ground. So we're looking at ospreys, these trees filled with osprey. And Pete, you said to me, "What is that huge bird?" And I'm thinking, an osprey, they're all huge. And you said, "No, that one." It was about 3 times the size
Of the ospreys.
of the osprey, and it was black, and it had this red thing, and we're looking at it, and I got out my binocular. It was really far away, and you'll know by this footage it's a little grainy because I zoomed as far in as I could. But it turns out
It was a magnificent frigate bird. It's really, really rare for us to be sitting on dry land and see one, because from the time that they hatch, and they only breed down in the south of Florida and the dry tortugas, But from the time they hatch, they fly all the time.
They don't
over the
land.
ocean. They never land.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, and this one, he must have been taking a quick break
He
or
was-
something.
he was tired.
Because he was on a limb for a little while, but he didn't stay there. This was really a rare moment.
So this starts with the frigate bird and it goes on from there. Here you go.
Magnificent frigate bird. Usually flies over the ocean for 3, 4, 5, 6 months at a time.
Here's the instant replay, slow-mo.
That's a 7-foot wingspan.
Pete did a percussion duet with this grackle.
Wow, here's you, Pete.
Wings can make that noise.
Talk about rare birds. This is 3 painted buntings all at the same time, a male on either side. They have kind of the colors of every bird, and there's a female, also beautiful with that green and yellow feathers. And but a penalty was called on this play.
Oh.
Illegal use of wings there.
Here's an instant replay in slow-mo. Now this is a purple gallinule. It's kind of shy. There's a regular gallinule that you see a lot of. This one is really super shy, and I love their spidery feet.
Look at his feet.
Yeah, and they can walk on like the aquatic plants. Nesting right in the tree along with the wood storks is this beautiful, beautiful great egret with those exotic feathers. Well, we're getting to the end of our nature hike here through the wetlands, and it has a really exciting finish. We were on a little bit of dry land. It was kind of a footpath, and we witnessed something that was really thrilling. It was a foot race across the path from one side to the other between a very small little baby iguana and a swamp rabbit, a marsh rabbit. They're little, very little tiny rabbits. So we put our money on the bunny.
Money on the bunny.
We put our money on the bunny.
Because they're supposed to be fast.
Yeah. I have to admit, it was a hot day. They both kind of lost interest about halfway before they got to the home stretch.
They inch.
They were inching.
They're inching by inch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you be the judge. Here we go. Money on the bunny.
Bunnies.
Everybody wins.
They were heading down the home stretch.
There are
I
no-
think the bunny was pulling ahead.
They're really doing
The
this
iguana
and
had
this,
the inside
you know.
track there.
I know the outcome because I have the full footage, but I didn't want
We're
to
not
choose
going
a favorite.
We're not going to reveal it. Yeah, right.
Well, we hope you enjoyed the nature clips. I know last year we sprinkled some nature clips in to some of our shows while we were in Florida, and we got a lot of positive response. People said, let's have some more of that, especially some of the folks overseas who haven't seen these kind of creatures in person. So we're happy to bring that to you. And but that brings us to the heart of today's show. We're going to head now into the studio, WLRN studio in Miami, with a visit with our dear old friend and veteran folk and acoustic music DJ, Michael Stock. Come on along.
Hi everybody, we're doing our Facebook Live folk and acoustic music edition here at WLRN. My name is Michael Stock. Every Sunday on WLRN, I do a 3-hour radio show, folk and acoustic music. But I also have live guests in the studio, and I bring them to you via Facebook. So welcome. Special show today. We have Pete and Maura Kennedy.
Hey, everybody.
Buddy.
2 o'clock on Sunday.
Yay.
Yeah, where else would we want to go?
Pete and Maura are in South Florida. You're from New York. You still in New York?
We're just outside of New York City now. We're in Tarrytown, New York.
Tarrytown.
Lovely river town.
You miss New York?
Right now, no. No offense, but it's
We
been
can
beautiful
hop on-
weather down
We
here.
can hop on the train and be back in the village in no time.
Oh, really?
We just don't miss
yeah,
the
we just
snow.
have-
That's-
Didn't you have a studio there?
Oh yeah, yeah. We did a lot of our recording there, but now the recording is in a very fancy studio in a garage.
We're a garage
Tarrytown.
band
A little
again.
in Tarrytown.
that's
It's a little bit outside of town, but we can still record.
And well, I'm not going to ask you many questions now because I'll wait for the interview. But it's great having you, the Winterbirds, come down.
Oh yeah.
How long do you spend in South Florida?
About a month and a half or so. We when we first come down, we play at the 30A Songwriters Festival in the Panhandle. Fantastic festival. That
I don't
was.
even know that one.
It's in Destin, Florida. Great festival. And then we go to Sarasota, and then we spend a week in the Keys, which we love. We did 5 different gigs in the Keys. In fact, I didn't realize you simulcast in
Yeah,
Marathon.
We're in the Keys. We're in the Keys.
We have a good, strong fan base down there. And then we come back and we did the South Florida Folk Festival.
Yay.
And we're doing the Temple Bethel in Hollywood. That's also sponsored by the South Florida Folk Festival.
That's this next Thursday.
This Thursday,
That's
yeah.
This Thursday.
And then we're going up to St. Augustine from here and then doing some shows in Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina before we get home.
I don't know how you do that. I mean, you've been on the road. You've been touring on the road for quite a few years.
Except for a 3-year period. So we're very, very
So you got a
happy.
break.
Yeah.
Well,
No, we didn't.
We kept working the whole time.
We worked harder than ever.
Oh no. Here we go.
Here we go.
Okay.
I like that music.
I know.
Good afternoon and welcome to Folk and Acoustic Music. My name is Michael Stock. Here every Sunday afternoon on Public Radio, WLRN. Maura and Pete, welcome back.
Oh, it's so good to be back.
Good to be
You know, we realized that the last radio interview we did was just before the pandemic, and this is the first one on the other side.
So I'm sandwiching you.
Yeah.
You're the
It's
bookend.
a Michael
You're the
Stock
bookends
Kennedy
of
sandwich.
the pandemic.
Well, you know, and I got to hand it to both of you because during the pandemic, you were so busy. You were doing weekly shows, and the amount of songs that came out of you is just phenomenal. I mean, over 1,000 songs.
Yeah, that's right. We, in fact, I was happy that we were going to be on the air at 2 p.m. on a Sunday because that was our time slot for, I think we did 120 some odd shows in a row, weekly shows. And then when we started playing, you know, outdoor festivals again this summer, we switched to monthly. So we're doing the second Sunday every month. But yeah, we've played, when we first started, we didn't want to repeat any songs because we wanted people to come back and we thought it'd be a couple weeks maybe.
Yeah, oh, I remember that.
And we went through our whole catalog of songs that we knew, and then we started playing songs that we kind of used to knew and relearned. And then we ran out, so we started learning songs. So far we've played over 1,000 different songs.
And you had to be so creative to come up with different themes every week. Was that your job or was it Pete's job?
Well, a lot of it was the audience's job. We would poll the audience. They were very interactive, and still are a very interactive audience. And they would send in requests for songs, also requests for whole themed shows. And oftentimes we would learn songs that they requested that we'd never heard before. So they turned us on to a lot of great music. It was an education for us.
Did your audience grow?
Oh yeah, yeah. And they not only did they grow with us, they grew with each other. We have people now who are friends, like Ricky Ken over in Sweden, who's friends with Joshua in Baltimore now, because they talk on the chat during the live stream. And so those connections grew in a time when connections were kind of hard to come by.
It's kind of hard to say, but that's something good that came out of the pandemic.
Well, yeah, there's always a silver lining.
The thing about that kind of show is it's a global audience, really, depending on time zones. But then also the show is archived, so people can watch it later if they're in India or Australia, and we do have people in those places too.
So
who watch the show.
all those shows are still available.
Every one of them.
134
Yeah.
of them.
On how do you get them?
If you go to our website, kennedysmusic.com, you'll see all of our stuff, tour dates and stuff. But at the very top of the page, you'll see a link to the live stream archive. It's on YouTube, and all the shows are there. And they're all, like Michael said, they're different themes. We pay tribute to different artists.
Do you have one that comes to pop to your mind that was the most fun?
Well, I wouldn't say it was the most fun. I would say it was probably the most memorable. We were scheduled to do a dance party show. And the Friday before that Sunday is when we lost Nancy Griffith, and I said, well, we can't do a dance party right now. So we did a kind of an impromptu memorial to her, who we worked with for over 30 years. So
Well, you both met touring with Nancy
In
Griffith.
that context,
Yeah.
yeah. We also did a show last year that was an emergency beach party. We called it that for our northern friends because it was one of these massive winter storms hitting the Northeast. We said they need a beach party. So we had our bathing suits and Hawaiian shirts on, and we did all surf music just for the New Englanders who were getting hit.
I liked our space show too. We did all space songs, you know, like ground controlled. We did Rocket Man. It was, and we had space outfits on. So.
Oh, no, that's so much
Yeah,
fun.
I had antenna.
It sustained you as well. I mean, you asked for tips, I guess. Is that what it is? A tip jar?
Well, it was always free, and it still is always free to watch. But a lot of folks would tip us if they were able to, and but there were a lot of folks. Most of the folks were out of work, you know, and so we invited everyone and anyone to watch for free. So
Yeah.
It was kind of like in the early days in Greenwich Village. They had what they call basket houses. And the folk singers would sing, and the club didn't pay them anything, and the basket would go around. So
How do you know? You weren't there.
we had we had a virtual basket.
we're students.
Yeah, I mean, you're too young. You weren't at Greenwich Village during the basket days.
I was there in the early 70s, playing at a place called the Back Fence. It was a duo with another guy, and we played every Wednesday, but we did get paid by the club.
Okay. I've never heard the back.
We got paid $10
Oh.
for both of us, $5 each. It was just enough to get a subway token back to the apartment.
And include a meal or a beer or anything?
And we might have got a hamburger.
Probably
Yeah. I think it was a beer, a hamburger, and $10.
I mean, okay, so how else? We're on the other side now. I mean, COVID is still out there, but how has it substantially changed your life other than having to learn how to do online shows?
Well, let's see. We cook a lot. We bicycle a lot. We boat. We watch birds. We're big bird watchers now, and we're taking advantage of the situation, being down in Florida and seeing your spoonbills and your wood storks and things like that. Just being out in nature has been great.
We learned there were birds besides pigeons because we lived in Greenwich Village for 20 years.
Well, that's changed too. You don't live there anymore, I suppose. Or...
No, we're in the Hudson Valley now.
Okay.
Yep.
Pete and Maura Kennedy here, and actually they're here because, well, not only are they in South Florida, but they have a show coming this Thursday. Is it a show with the Broward Folk Club?
Yeah, we played the South Florida Folk Festival, which is a Broward Folk Club event. And after the festival, we told them, we're going to be around for a couple more weeks. Do you want to put on another show? And they had a venue that they wanted to use. And so I guess we're the first ones to use this venue through the Broward Folk Club. And it's the Temple Bethel in Hollywood. It's a beautiful space. And it's Thursday at 7 p.m. And I know if you're a member of the Broward Folk Club or the Temple Bethel, you get a $5 discount on tickets. And if you order in advance, you get an additional $5 discount. So
Temple Bethel is located at 1351 South 14th Avenue. The show is Thursday night at 7 p.m. and tickets are available at your website, kennedysmusic.com. And,
if they just go to the tour dates page, that will link directly to the ticket link. I think it's easier to do it that way than...
And the Kennedys are here. We want to get a few songs in. What do you want to start with?
Well, we were doing these weekly shows, and then we started to get festivals in July. So we pared it down to monthly. And we decided we'd like to bring kind of a sampling of what our show was to the festival. So we put together this CD right here.
Just on a side note, we're on Facebook Live as well.
Yes.
WLRN website.
Right. All right. Soul and Inspiration, Nuggets from the Livestream Archive, Volume 1. And what we did was we picked some of our favorite performances during the pandemic on our live stream. And they're the actual performances that went out on the air. They turned out to be all songs by other writers, and they also turned out to be the very first time we played them, but they're really good performances. And so they make a nice little kind of memento, limited edition of what we were doing during the pandemic. So we thought maybe we'd play one of those songs for you.
Oh, great.
This is a song that we honored as a request. A friend of ours, her mom was in the same nursing home where my dad was. They were both just 5 miles down the road. We used to visit them, you know, through the windows when we could. And, well, we lost both of them during the pandemic. But when her mom died, she asked us to play a song. And I thought about this particular Donovan song, which is a love song. But there are references to human contact that kind of took on a new meaning when we couldn't visit our loved ones in the nursing home. This is called Catch the Wind.
Maura Kennedy, live in the WLRN studio. So that's on your latest album,
Yeah.
Soul and Inspiration. That is a result of all your Facebook Live
Yeah,
feeds.
YouTube and
Yeah,
Facebook.
YouTube Live.
Oh, that's on there. I originally thought that was written as a response to Bob Dylan's "Blowing in the Wind."
Oh,
maybe,
never thought of it. But yeah, I mean, it's it's a very unique song, I think. Even if you made that connection, just to use just the visuals and it's just beautiful.
No, you gave me a whole new insight to the song because I never looked at it as that way.
Now it could be about a parent rather than someone that you're attracted
to take your hand. We couldn't even hold our parents' hands.
Oh, I'm
in
so
the nursing
sorry.
home.
That's so that's an awful thing that happened
I
during
know,
COVID.
I know.
But when you sing about something, it enables you to externalize those feelings, and I think it helps other people who have the same feelings.
Yeah.
That's one of the great things that songs do.
The Kennedys are going to be in concert this Thursday evening at Temple Beth El in Hollywood, and there's so much to talk about. And Pete, you've become a writer. I read your memoir, Tone, Twang, and Taste, which came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
That was about your career in music, and it goes way back, as we discovered with your music in Greenwich Village. But you have a new book called Floodwood. What inspired that?
Floodwood is not a music book. It's a novel. And it was actually inspired by a canoe trip. We did a family canoe trip to a place called Floodwood up in the Adirondacks. And it's this beautiful area of lakes. And I don't know why, for some reason, I was appreciating the beauty of the lakes, but I thought this would be a great setting for a kind of a horror story too, or a mystery, really. It's more of a mystery than horror. And so I dove into all this research about the Iroquois mythology and history and things about that area. And then somehow it went from there over to France and then to India and Tibet and Japan. And it's about a global art theft ring and two characters who are team up to bust this art theft ring. And one of them is a librarian who is also a werewolf.
Okay.
And the other one is a professor. She's a medieval history professor who's actually a secret agent crossbow expert. So the two of them kind of go around the world chasing these art thieves.
Wow, that's amazing. And did you know you had it in you to write a novel?
No, I just thought it'd be nice to write something about the lake. And it went from the lake, everything else developed from there.
What I find really interesting is I love reading fiction. Pete rarely reads fiction. He loves nonfiction. So I was curious to see how he would do writing a book of fiction. And he's just, the development of the characters and the settings and the details are all there. It's a very engaging read.
I think you become friends with the characters. You want bad things to happen to the bad people and good things to happen to good, and you realize you have control over that, which you don't in real life.
I have one thing to add, though, too, to tie it back to the live stream. Look at that beautiful cover of the book. That was done by one of our weekly viewers, Jen Lennox, up in Vermont. She volunteered to do the artwork.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's like a shadow, a silhouette of a tree without leaves.
Yeah.
And the background is kind of misty.
Yeah.
It does capture the book,
The vibe.
the mood of the book.
Oh, are you surprised, Maura, that Pete had a novel in him?
I mean, I shouldn't be. I shouldn't have been, because everything Pete undertakes, he does so well. But I'll tell you, he's been working on the sequel, and I just read a chapter of it last night, and it's even better. I can't wait for it to be finished.
So something tells me you're both big readers.
Oh, yeah.
Both of our dads taught English. Maura's dad, that was his full-time profession. He was a literature professor. And my dad taught, I think, at high school level before he got a, quote, real job. So we both grew up in a book reading situation.
Really? Are your parents, I mean, they were supportive of your music as well?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Both sets of parents were, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's such an odd career that you chose, only because you're on the road so much, and so you must love traveling as well.
Well, we say we're more truck drivers than anything else. Although not in the last 3 years, we really got to focus on the music, which is why we were able to crank out so much, so many songs, put so many songs together. But yeah, we do love to travel. When we first got together, we set out on the road, and we just never thought we'd stop, and we wouldn't have had it not been for the pandemic, but we're back.
Well, what's the secret? How do you maintain it? How do you, all these years, what's
Well, we could ask you about the radio show.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Why have you stuck with it for 42 years?
Yes.
It has to be because you love the music so much.
It's amazing that the talent that's out there, you know, and you're in the thick of it. I mean, you come across so many artists in your travels and your festivals. I'm just sitting here and they come to
They
me.
come to you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
They send me their CDs, and it's just amazing. It must be frustrating for you, I would think, being that there's like two levels of music out there. There's like a Grammys level, and there's a everyday house concert folk artists. So, I don't know. Have you ever toyed with the popular end of folk music? Popular music?
I think of those two levels of music as kind of being like separate industries. You know, one is very commercial, scripted out, organized, and high dollar, and then we're just really organic, and it's great to do what we do on an indie level because we present ourselves the way we want to be presented. We write the songs we want to write. We put out records when we want to put out records, and we'll take time off to write a book. So we have the autonomy that that the big league players don't have.
Well, you've toured,
and we don't have to learn dance moves.
Oh, well, you've toured. Like we mentioned Nancy Griffith. You also worked with Mary Chapin Carpenter, and there was another artist there I had written down here who kind of like broke through the.
Well, Kate Wolf played with
Kate Wolf. Kate
yeah.
Wolf. Yes,
Yeah.
that's the one. So they kind of like almost broke through, I imagine, to the popular level. I don't know.
I think that the great thing about working with all three of them is they were all, and I suppose Mary Chapin still is, really, really dedicated to integrity. And they thought of themselves as, once they were sort of getting sucked into that world that you're talking about, they were going to hold on to the integrity. They were going to keep control of their music, and they were going to keep doing what happens on the smaller level where you have total freedom. They were like, okay, if the record company wants me, I know Nancy was really like this. When we did that all folk album, Other Voices, Other Rooms.
That won a Grammy, actually.
Yeah,
too.
and she had to change labels because the label she was on, they were like, you're crazy, you know, folk, no one's going to buy it. You're going to ruin your career. We want to make you a rock star. And she said, no, I'm a folk singer. I want to do this folk album. So they worked out a deal where she got off that label. The next label, Elektra, think of Elektra's history in the folk world with Judy Collins and Tom Rush. And they supported her. And like you said, it won a Grammy. It was her biggest album. And so they were all people they had a vision and they were going to stick to it no matter what.
Have either of you been approached by a major label and wanted you to change?
Well, we were on different small labels, Rounder, Koch, but not really. I think when you're on small labels, you do what you want to do, and there's usually an agreement when everybody's like, okay, you've done what you can do here. Why don't you try something else? So we've kind of surfed different record labels, and over many years we learned what is needed to put out a record, and we've developed relationships with people like you. So we know that we have to do certain things to get our records mailed to the right people and get it distributed in all the right channels and book a tour. So we basically are a record label. We do the same things that record labels did in-house. We just sort of...
So your latest album, Soul and Inspiration, is that on your own label?
Yeah, and that's just a limited edition thing. We kind of made it as a souvenir for the live stream, and we didn't do the full-on promotion, I guess you'd call it, that you do with a regular release.
Well, yeah, I guess you need that as a product to sell at your concerts.
Yeah, and people wanted a memento for that time. One person told me that she went back and watched all the early, the first year of our shows, and said, this is a really, really good document of the pandemic years. Because we addressed specific things. We were wearing masks at the beginning. We lost people, and we dealt with that in real time, week to week. So,
did Nancy? Did she die of COVID? I don't recall.
She died during COVID.
She died during COVID. Well, that must have been a shock for.
Yeah, it's a hard loss.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to.
Once again, it was someone that we couldn't see, right.
Yeah.
towards the end of her life. But we were lucky enough to play the very last shows that she played, because we were touring with her during that period of time, the early 2010s, I guess you'd say.
Well, Nancy is one of those artists where I just think never got the recognition she deserved, you know. So she made it. She went on David Letterman a few times, but
I think she did. I think that she hit she found her audience. It's just that her audience is a niche audience, you know. I don't think that she would have gotten to Beyonce level just because of who her audience is. I think that she just hit it just right.
okay. What about you? Have you hit your audience right?
We love our
what we're
audience.
doing.
Yeah.
We always have.
Yeah. Pete and Maura Kennedy are here, and let's have another song.
Well, we came down to Florida like we do every year. We came down last year as well, and we played all outdoor shows. We had a whole tour scheduled, but we canceled all the indoor shows because there was I can't remember which
Variant of some
Delta
kind,
or
a surge.
whatever. But while we were down here, we wrote a bunch of songs, and this is a song that's going to be the title track for our next record, which is coming at the end of August. And we wrote this song. We were staying in the Keys, and we were on bicycles, and we were riding out to Pigeon Key. Do you know where that is? It's part of the old Flagler Railroad, but it's just a hike and bike trail out to this historic site that was a camp for the people who were working on the railroad. And when you ride your bike out there, you're just sailing over the ocean, and we could see stingrays and sharks and stuff in the water below. But when we were riding back, the wind was right in our face, and it took about twice as long. And I thought, wow, headwinds make it hard to get back home. And I thought, okay, that's a song title. And it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's been a comfortable ride with you by my side. Nothing to upset our home. We took the good with the bad. We knew we had a good thing going on. But time has a way, and there's a price you must pay to travel this road alone. And
Pete and Maura Kennedy, live in the WLRN studio. They're going to be playing at Temple Bethel of Hollywood on Thursday evening. Show starts at 7 o'clock. Temple Bethel is at 1351 South 14th Avenue, and for ticket information, you can go to the Kennedys website at kennedysmusic.com and check out their tour schedule. The new album, the Kennedys, your latest. Out of the 1,000 songs that you had, how did you choose the dozen?
We went through 135 hours of video and just listened to see what were the good performances, the good songs, what were the mixes. You know, we do our show with one microphone above our heads, so we had to slightly move microphones around, and sometimes we just really hit that sweet spot. So we just picked songs that sounded good, that went together, and
Obviously, you had never done that before COVID, so it was a new learning experience.
Totally was, yeah.
Yeah, it's instead of wishing a TV show would pick us up, we just created our own TV show.
And we'd never done a live stream before. I know that they existed before COVID, but we were on that Tuesday when things shut down. We realized we didn't have gigs on the weekend. I just put word out on Facebook and said, I know that some people were planning on going to our gigs this weekend, but maybe we could do something online. Would you be interested? And when they said yes, we said, okay, now we have to figure out how to plug a microphone into a computer, because we'd never done that. And we got some help from some folks online, and we went to Guitar Center the day before they closed and bought a USB mic and figured it out from there.
And now you're going to do it as a monthly show.
It's monthly now, yeah.
Why do you want to continue it?
The reason we're continuing it is because there are people who now tune in from all over the world. We have a woman in the Czech Republic. We have another woman in Norway. These are people who are homebound. They're taking care of parents in some cases, people all over the world, and other folks, in the U.S. who don't travel anymore. They don't go out, and even regardless of the pandemic, they're homebound. And they found that there's this, community they can count on, people that they know, and also the fact that you can't be everywhere at once unless you're live streaming, and then you can. So we can reach people who we've never toured in Sweden before, or in Spain, or we've been to France, but there are places we have an audience now that we've never physically been to.
Are you going to travel more to those places?
Well, we have so much time. We only have so much time. So what we do, like right now, we're doing the East Coast, and then when the record comes out at the end of August, we're going to do our record release stuff in the East Coast, then we're going to do some stuff in the Midwest, and then we're going to go out to the West Coast. And, you have to spend a certain amount of time. We're hoping we can get overseas at some point.
When you travel, is it for work or is it for play? Do you get to enjoy yourself while you travel?
We've only gone on vacation once in 30 years.
Like a dedicated vacation.
Where we didn't bring guitars and have a gig. And that was in Italy, and it was great. It was really fun. We'd love to do that again. But, the life of a traveling folk singer is you can't really stop working. You don't want to because you love the music, but also you don't have a contract with a huge corporation that is going to pay you a salary. So you want to keep playing all the time. And fortunately, we love traveling too.
And we always work in our little, sightseeing and vacation time, the playtime amid the tour dates.
Has it affected Pete, I know you do a lot of producing, and you help a lot of other artists make their albums. I could go through my library, and you could probably pick dozens and dozens of records that you had your hands, that you're part of. Has that part of your career slowed down?
Definitely, because everybody started trying to figure out a way to record without gathering people together. I actually... I'm on John McCutcheon's latest album, I think, although we never actually saw John during the process. He was at home, and we were down here in Florida. And what people do in that situation, they can send the tracks, and then you record like you would in a studio. It's not the same as, the great experience is like I did a couple albums with Eric Anderson, was when we were all just, there was a guy on drums there and a bass player there and me over here, and then Eric with his guitar. And somebody would go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he'd sing. Well, we did the Nancy Griffith album like that too. Other Voices, Other Rooms. We did it in a few days because we just played all the songs live. That's really a great feeling. In fact, when we were doing the Eric Anderson one, it was in New York City, and a couple of hip hop guys came in, and they were amazed that musicians were sitting down playing instruments together, because they just hadn't grown up with that concept.
It reminds me of your memoir of Tone, Twang, and Taste. It's a few years old now. Are there things you want to add to the book?
People are saying, you got to do a volume 2. And so, well, that one covers like half a century. I'm going to have to live a long time.
Well, you did edit out some stories. I mean, you picked the best stories, but there's some great stories that you didn't have room for that you could do another batch of those.
Yeah, people do want to read that.
I should mention that during the pandemic, we contributed 2 tracks to some tribute albums. One was a Gordon Lightfoot album, Ladies Sing Lightfoot. And then we just contributed a track to the Eric Anderson tribute, which is a fantastic
It's out of
3
South
CD.
Florida, actually.
Oh,
YNT
yeah.
Music is
Oh,
out of
yeah.
South Florida.
3 CDs.
That's a great
of
production.
just about everybody doing Eric Anderson songs.
So you talked to Rich or Jim, Rich Eola, Jim Worcester.
We talked to Eric.
Oh.
He picked the song for us to do.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So, well, congratulations on that. And your new album, it's due out in August?
August 25th.
It's so far away still.
I know, but we wanted time to put together a proper tour and to get all of our ducks in a row. So, yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can visit you again next year when the new record's out.
Absolutely. Well, you're making South Florida like a regular part of your touring schedule.
Yes.
Yep.
Always.
We'll be back.
Pete and Maura Kennedy will be in concert this Thursday evening at 7 o'clock at Temple Beth El of Hollywood, 1351 South 14th Avenue. And you can get a discount on the tickets if you are a member of the Temple, or if you are a member of the Broward Folk Club, or if you buy in advance through the KennedysMusic.com website, the Kennedys website. Just check out their tour schedule there. Let's have one more song.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do another Florida song. We wrote this in St. Augustine. That's all I'm going to tell you. Actually, it's a song about recycling.
It's about mudlarking.
It's about mudlarking.
Wait, what's mudlarking?
Oh, it's all in the song. It's G, right?
Yeah.
I have to remember what key everything's in because we have 1,000 songs in my brain now. 1, 2, 2, 2. Edge of the swamp, St. Augustine. I watch the trains roll by on the other side through the back porch screen. I see the herons fly and the swamp grass sway. I can sit right here for the rest of the year, just feel this way. And find the little green bottles, little green bottles, little green bottles that wash up onto the shore. I love the little green bottles, little green bottles, little green bottles that wash up onto the shore. There's an island in the middle. I like to take a canoe, find a little brown shack someone lived in back when the town was new. And as the city grew up and the shack fell down, we paddled away and the city said, hey, we got a dumping ground now. And now there's little green bottles, little green bottles, little green bottles, little green bottles, little green bottles that wash up onto the shore. You sing it with us, Michael. I love the little green bottles,
Little green bottles.
little green bottles, little green bottles, little green bottles that wash up onto the shore. Now the train is loaded 3 days a week, and the men in charge gravel on my boots. I grab an old tin pail. I wade into the brine of the muddy floodline, and I never fail to find the little green bottles, little green
Bottles,
little green bottles,
little green bottles.
little green bottles wash up onto the shore. I love the little green bottles, little green bottles, little green bottles,
Little green bottles.
little green bottles wash up onto the shore. I love the little green bottles wash up onto the shore.
All right.
Good singing,
Yay.
Michael. Yeah, you're the third
my.
Kennedy.
Now that bottle that Pete was playing, that's one that I dug up in the mud there.
No
That's what you
kidding.
find when you go mudlarking.
There you
That's
go.
so it's using it as a slide. What-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a top of a beer bottle?
It was a little
No,
medicine
it was
bottle.
like a
an
Coracetin kind of thing back.
Why is that
probably
the state
100
have little green
There's
bottles
just
washing up?
because that's where there used to be a landfill out in the water, and whenever
So
there's
when
a
you got
storm,
a 100-year-old landfill,
That's
there
what-
isn't any plastic,
Yes.
and everything organic is decayed long ago. So what's left is glass stuff.
they do a lot
And
of
the
that.
bottles are made out of glass.
And they do a lot of that in the River Thames. When the Thames gets low, a lot of people go out and they go mudlarking down there. I think I think they invented the word.
I see.
But yeah.
Oh, going through the mud, walking through the mud.
But
Yeah.
isn't that the best form of recycling, though? Picking
Yeah.
that out of the mud and using it
That's
as a
a
slide.
riot. How much fun! You travel with your electric Rickenbacker, Pete. You also have an acoustic car with you? What other instruments do you travel with?
Well, that's the one big difference between the live stream, where I have a rack with like 7 banjo, a mandolin, electric, a 12-string. But when we go on the road, we literally only have room for 1 guitar each. And I've done a lot of the tours. I would bring 1 acoustic, but whenever I do that, people come up and say, "You've got a Rickenbacker, don't you?" There's sort of a cult around the Rickenbacker guitars.
Yes.
Because they're kind of rare. It's a very small factory. They never did like an Asian mass-produced version, and so you got the Beatles, the Byrds. Our audience tends to like the Beatles and the
And
Byrds
Tom
anyway,
Petty.
and so they know, even if they don't play the guitar, they know about the Rickenbacker.
Well,
It is
Roger
hollow.
played a 12-string, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
He's
Yeah.
got the 12 at home.
And George Harrison played the 12, and Tom Petty played a 12.
Susanna
and,
Hoffs, don't forget
And
Susanna.
John Lennon played and Susanna
No
Hoffs.
kidding.
Too. Yeah,
That's
so
some good company.
it's
Yeah.
a small little group, but people love just the certain tone. They have kind of a chiming sound, It's different than the rock, kind of cliche type sound. It's got a different, that bell-like tone.
I like how you played that as a 12-string just
Very
now.
cool. When you played for Nancy Griffith, did she like electric guitar or acoustic guitar
I
accompaniment?
played mostly electric because Nancy is like Maura. Nancy was a great rhythm acoustic guitar player. And she could also play lead when she'd do like Love at the Five and Dime, where she had little lines that she would play. So she didn't really need me to kind of duplicate the same tone. So I did the electric because she was a Texas singer-songwriter, so she always had a little bit of that twangy country thing
You
going
played
on.
the Rickenbacker with Mary Chapin Carpenter, too.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you mind? I mean, you've been taking a back seat to companies of great artists. Do you mind playing accompaniment, backseating? Playing behind the scene?
No, I think it's great being a support for somebody who's just so talented. Like Maura or Nancy or Mary Chapin or Kate Wolf, and when you read the book, I'm never the main character in the book. I'm always, it's kind of Zelig-like thing where I'm just in a lot of situations where somebody who's brilliant is making music.
Well, that's a special skill in itself, is to not take away from the main artist.
Very much, yeah.
I don't think of myself as the main artist in this duo, though, just so you know, because we are truly a duo, and I'm playing rhythm guitar, I'm the back seat to Pete's lead, and he's the best lead guitar player I've ever played with. So I think of him as the star when he's playing lead.
But I'm well aware that electric guitarists are, Nigel Tufnell and Spinal Tap. It's like the prototype, the archetype electric guitar player who is it's all about themselves. And I've always wanted to be the exact opposite of that. I wanted to always make it all about the artist.
I guess that's why you're such a good producer, is because you let whoever the artist is stand out.
They make them come to the forefront. Yeah. It's like they're the Mona Lisa, and you're creating the mountains in the background and the frame and the things that complete the picture. But it's their picture.
Well, if you'd like Pete to produce your album or see them in concert this Thursday night at 7 o'clock, they'll be at Temple Bethel of Hollywood, 1350 South 14th Avenue. And for more information on Pete's new book and the latest albums, KennedysMusic.com. That's also for tickets to Thursday's show as well. Pete and Maura, thank you both so much for coming by.
Michael, it's great to see you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on 42 years.
Where did you imagine that? Thank you,
Supporting
WLRN.
independent music.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a great achievement.
I appreciate that.
There's nothing like having a conversation with somebody who, like us, loves music so much, and he's so knowledgeable about music too. And we even had Michael Stock singing along. He was like the third Kennedy for a while there on Little Green Bottles.
I was talking to one of his longtime listeners last night, and I mentioned that he sang along. She said, "I've never heard him do that before." Like, hey, you never know who's game. Sing along, all right. And he did, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. This was our special pop-up episode. Next week, we're back with our regular, we've been doing the second Sunday every month. And we want to remind you, though, next Sunday, Sunday the 12th, it's the 12th, right? I think so. Next Sunday is daylight savings time in America. Now, different countries change their clocks at different times if they change them at all. So for us, it's still 2 p.m., but it's going to feel like 1 p.m. because we've lost an hour. We will have lost an hour by springing forward. So what you want to do is find out what time it is in your location when it's 2 p.m. in New York.
Could you
New York time.
Google 2 p.m. in New York?
I think there's like a world
and then
clock.
Put your country.
Yeah. So if you miss it, it'll be in the archive. Yeah, so check your local times. And until then, stay safe. And we really hope you enjoyed this special show. We sure enjoyed making it for you. We'll see you next week.